I've always brought these guys up, right? Because they have so much synergy within the deck. Like, it's basically what a Quickdraw was with Level Eater when Level Eater was around, right? It gave you the grave setup that you needed for Jung Synchron. It gave you something to initiate your turn while trying to fulfill what the deck's meant to be doing, right? Which is set up your grave, get things in the grave, just to play off your grave and just play with your hand and your grave at the same time to overwhelm your opponent in that regard, right? Like you get your Plague, your Quibble, your Doppel. But the only issue about these guys is having to play the Garnets. Like, this is one of the biggest issues. I hate playing the Garnets. But it's like, it's at a point where it's like, is the risk worth the reward type of thing, right? That's where it's at basically right now. Because like this gives you your Chaos Ruler, which is quite huge, right? Like this is the reason why you play this, right? Because it gives you the option to set up your grave. It's like part of prosperity for this particular deck because it's a synchro material that you can use to synchro climb, and it sets up your grave, and it's recurable. So it's like it does everything you want it to do. Because the moment you synchro with this, let's say you make a Heart Red Abyss with this, right? It goes to the graveyard, right? As you're sequencing off, you can bring this back, trigger the Doppel in hand, and if you're playing the Majestic stuff, then you can trigger and make a Majestic with that extra resource that you wouldn't typically have. And that's important. That's really huge. And then the option this one has is it gives you a level 1. Let's say you go into start as Charge Warrior, right? You gotta get out of the way. You get started as Charge Warrior, right? And then it gives you a level 1, so you'll draw something. You get like an upstart, right? You discard special, because odds are the cards you discard is going to be quite useful in the grave, so you're not really minusing. And you're going to replenish it by basically drawing a card with start as Charge. And then you have the option to have a level 1 to bring back with Junk, and then if you have Doppel, that makes it even better, right? So like thinking about those type of interactions and how much synergy that can unravel into being something even more is why you should consider these type of things. But once they're going back again, it's like I don't want to play these. Like you just don't want to be playing the Gardens, but like they're just so like required. So which begs the question. I was like, well, why don't we just go back to Quickdraw, right? Because like if you think about it, right? If you play these 3, you have to play this. If you play these 3, you have to play this. And same thing with Quickdraw. If you play this, you got to play this. But then there's more copies of this than there are this because you play tuning. Does that make sense? So already you're going to be increasing this consistency by reverting to this. But this requires more cards to be fulfilled, right? Like you had to hard open this, whereas this already gives you the option to do that already. And I'm like, well, damn, is it worth it? Because like if you think about it, because all you need to do is just draw one either or, right? So like let's say you could even do this. This is what I've been trying. When you get really peculiar with your ratios and really like specific to what your intentions are, you get to this point, right? So like I was doing this, like because all you need is one of these to just as a discard fodder. Whereas this one, it will come up sometimes, but most often than not, you can just summon it off speeder to make your Ultimaya, right? Make your Ultimaya, because like if you open up these access to these 3, you can make this, and then this gives you this. And then already you're getting the option to have protection from Nibiru or any other hand trap to actually let your speeder to resolve. So like that's where I'm at right now. Like which one do I do? Because you're already cutting 4 cards, right? You're already cutting 4 cards just by implementing this guy, right? Because this guy then gives you the option to these guys, right? Because it gives you the option to make overtake targets. Because like right now, the only overtake target I'm playing is this because I was playing Archer, but the more I was testing, the more I was thinking about, oh, well, I mean, if I top deck like a Junk Synchron or have a Junk Synchron play, I can at least like make this. Whereas I need multiple things to make this. Does that make sense? But then since I'm playing this, the option occurs much more often because like you have tokens, you have level 2s that you can summon, and then you can make these guys, right, level 7s. Or you can make this guy as well, which is amazing. Because like he could just discard a card special and then you can guarantee something coming back the following turn. But that's what I mean. It's hard, man. This is just like what to do, which is requires a bunch of testing, which is what I'm doing. But like I just want to get something out there to you guys because I've been delaying the deck profile for a few days now. But this is want to give you like a bit of thought process of what I'm trying to like I guess decipher of what, do I need this? Do I not need this? Is this a better option? Because if you think about it, right? Let's say I end up choosing Quickdraw, right? And then I end up cutting these guys. That's already cutting freaking, how many cards is that? That's already 8 cards. 3, 6, 8. That's 8 cards already that I can replace with anything else. But this is just too strong, man. This is just way too strong. Like starting your turn that way, discarding a Kubel, discarding any of these, and then doing this and milling is just too powerful. It's just too strong to just not want to play this. Like, it's just insane because it does setup, and what I mentioned before earlier in the video, it does so much. Like it can trigger doppel, you can make it like a synchro climbing with it. It just, I don't know, but like, what do I do? And then you have to consider like playing this guy as well because you want to discard. It triggers doppel. It's a level 1. It gives you option to make shaman. Especially if you open up the Sepei Dawnwalker. Discard this, special this, right? And then trigger this. It comes out. And then you have plays here. And then what this does is it gives you the option to go into shaman and be able to just summon a bunch of these out of your hand or from your grave that you might have milled or you might have just like discarded for, Like that's basically where I'm at right now. At that point, well, I think once I decided what route I want to take it with, then I think that's when the deck will be finished. Because this is like the last tweaks I'm trying to do, like what to do, because like it's I've always said it's always frustrating but exciting at the same time because it's you're bound to find the solution, and once that happens, it's so fulfilling. Like that's that's what makes these type of decks so intriguing, right? You're trying to crack the code. You're trying to because like the issue with these decks is that once you fulfilled the deck that you've I guess constructed through testing and grinding, that's the hard part. Coming up with the deck list is the hard part. What everyone else sees is the end result, the end product, and that's what makes it seem like it's so degenerate because they're seeing, oh, you're just building a board. Well, dude, you had no idea how long it took to come up with this deck to do this, like to have so much synergy, to have the consistency. And that's what I had to tell you guys. Like, if it comes to that point where you do that, you have to consider, like, all the grinding, all the testing, all the efforts that went into, all the hours to come up with that particular board, build the board deck. You did the hard yards before you actually dueled. Like, dueling that's the finished product right there. But it's like, it's so freaking frustrating because it's so close. Oh my god. And then, I'm gonna leave it open-ended, just right there, because that's basically where I'm at, where I'm struggling with. And I don't want to just show you guys what I'm at, the thought process. Because the next card I want to talk about is everyone has been mentioning and talking about this card. Everyone wants to know, am I playing this card? And I'm gonna tell you right now, yes, this card is so good. It's so amazing. Like the fact that you can do some pretty neat plays with this, right? Like some cool things you can do is amazing. Like it's so good. Like the fact that you can go, like let's say it's your turn, right? You go, okay, Twin Twister, pop back row, right? You activate this. You bring back this, right? And then you trigger. What the hell is your double? You trigger double without having to normal summon. You haven't normal summon that. Oh, this is amazing. And then you just sequence, and then you haven't used your junk summon because you have tunings. You have junk themselves. It's just insane of the little niche things you can do with overtake. It's just amazing. But that's for another video. But for now, I want to just talk about this and discuss this because this is where I'm at. Something else I forgot to mention as well. Like if you open up like this and this, it's not completely dead because it lets you have a play where you can trigger your doppel in hand. Because typically, like let's say you open this, right? You're like, oh well, I don't have grave set up. Well, that's what this comes in. The versatility that this gives is quite cool. So let's say you go summon, effect, reduce it by 2, right? So it's a level 1, and this gives you the option to make your Metal Marcher, right? And your Metal Marcher will trigger summoning this, and then you trigger double that way, and then you go speeder. Like little neat things like that are why this is something to consider as well. Because like that's amazing. Like you can go speeder. You still get to what you want to do. It's just amazing. But that's basically gonna be it. But hopefully enjoy the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.